just not an easy place to play, to get any traction against a side that are full of talent and energy, positive energy. And the opening exchanges were very, very difficult. Certainly the incident that occurred in and around the penalty area was instrumental in the end, where it occurred. But slowly but surely, I felt we just warmed into the game, started to maybe connect a couple of passes and feel a little bit more confident in this arena. And the goal before half-time was huge, to come in and to galvanise the group again, something to protect in difficult times, and obviously something to try and build on. And I think it also gave us a little bit more belief that there was more management of the game to be had. We controlled the ball a little bit better in the second half. There were some areas certainly that we took more advantage of, and of course some wonderful displays in the end. Typified, I think, by Daniel Rios' first goal this year, and the final goal that couldn't have been put on a platter any better from Joe for Randall to finish off what was a wonderful afternoon for us.
We'll start with Drake Hilson of Tennessee, and then we'll go with Ben Wright at Broadway Sports Media. Drake, you're on with Coach.
Yeah, Coach. Congratulations on the win. I'm curious to know with Dan Rios. I mean, he was just seconds before he scored. Obviously, he had that chance where he probably, maybe just inches wide from scoring that one. What did you see from him leading up to this game? And of course, how important was it, do you think, for him to get that goal in his first start?
If you look back at some of the games that we've played away from home, there have been some really good signs. They've been fragmented because of our heavily loaded home schedule in the early part of the season. But the thing that I think struck all of us was that we had some nice moments in the game, but lacked that goal threat. And Daniel's performances coming off the bench have looked bright, purposeful. He was, of course, our top goal scorer, not to be forgotten, last year. He is a threat in front of goal, and although there were few opportunities for him to make a mark, and I have to say, he looked rusty at certain points. The field, I'm sure, didn't help him settle. But what we know is he is a clinical finisher, and Daniel doesn't need many opportunities. He's made the most of very few sights of goal today. And that has certainly given us a huge platform and foundation to work from. Ultimately, the front two guys that played did a very, very good job for us. And, the balance of scoring goals, finding those creative moments away from home, but still being competitive. And let's not forget, we limited an incredibly talented Atlanta side who have been on a wonderful run of form to not much. I mean, probably their best chance in the game was the final seconds where Joseph Sedders skimmed the side of the post. And, that in itself, I think, should be, a big pat on the back for the players.
Go ahead, Ben, then we'll go with Tim Sullivan.
Yeah, Gary, obviously you just talked about Daniel Rios, but there were a couple of selections. Looked like Alistair was playing in a more central role, and then Dan kind of inverted on the right. What was your thought process going into the game? Obviously, it worked out well, but what was it like in the build-up?
Well, Daniel's a very senior player. He's played on the right-hand side of the field before, so this is not new to him. What tends to happen with players that are obviously 1 foot predominant, it can be a little bit unbalancing for him at times, but the real thought process behind it was to try and get Alistair a little higher up the field and keep some pressure on. And I think we saw in the early exchanges that Alistair even got himself in a terrific overlapping position. And part of it was to try and overload this left-hand side, our right, their left, with two very energetic and forceful players. It didn't happen as much as maybe I would have liked, of course. The balance of possession can be key to that. But if you see where Daniel Lovitz ended up for the first goal, it really was a consequence of what we had looked at in the lead up to the game. Daniel came in underneath their back line. Alistair was a little higher up the field. He forces him in rather like a midfield player. It's hard for defenders to deal with, and he plays a terrific little ball for Daniel to finish. So all in all, very, very pleased with how that attacking dimension to the group looked. And I also felt, you know, whilst Jack has been terrific for us, you know, I have no complaints there. I thought Alistair would get isolated more with what we know are, you know, exceptionally good individual players, and they've got lots of them. It's not like there's one or two, there's 4 or 5. So therefore, you know, we needed players on the field that could cope with those 1v1 situations, maybe in a slightly better fashion.
Go ahead, Tim.
Gary, obviously Randall's having a fine season overall, but maybe the kind of like the stat numbers haven't been there as much as he'd like. What does it feel like for you on the sideline to see maybe one of his least impressive strikes of the year be the one that kind of maybe gets him back on track?
Well, yeah, I think you're right. You know, I think his stats of hitting the target, asking more questions, getting into aggressive areas have been very, very good. You know, his return on that has not always shown just how impressive he's been. So he's certainly moving forward, and he's developing in that fashion in the final third. I thought his awareness for the goal was very, very good. I mean, Joe's ball, as I've said already, was one that allowed him to, I think, just get his head up, be aware of what was around him. I don't think for 1 minute that Randall ever thought, I'm going to run this in the corner and kill time. If there'd have been 3 defenders in front of him, he'd have tried to take him on. So, you know, I love that aggressive nature about him, and the fact that he's just finished the game off on such a bright note for us. You know, I think will give him immense confidence as he goes off with his country now. And you know, some of the guys that have put in wonderful shifts today leave us in, you know, in a great place.
Go ahead, Jonathan Siegel, MLSsoccer.com. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Hey, Gary. Congrats on the big win. There's been a lot of talk about, will these home draws come back to bite Nashville in light of especially the road-heavy second half? 9 of these last 13 on the road, as I'm sure you know. So what does this result do in light of that mentally for the group? How does this impact perhaps some of the belief in the squad, knowing the kind of uphill climb, just based on the balance of the schedule that remains in the second half of the year?
Yeah, I think uphill climbs may be a little bit heavy duty given our position in the league, but I understand your analogy. The difficulty for any team is to you know, convert that balance of any game from one, as I've said, that you're in it, you're competing, you're making life difficult for teams away from home on a field that, you know, they'll be far more accustomed to. You know, how do we turn the screw a little bit more and turn that into a victory? And today will be a monkey off everyone's back. To your point, it will give all of the guys huge confidence to, you know, to have won here against our local rivals and a top team. Hopefully, as we, you know, go back home for Friday's game against New York City and then into a long stretch, you know, there'll be something in the back of their mind that says, okay, we've shown some excellent form at home, and we know if things don't always go our way, that we're capable of earning all 3 points in some difficult surrounds, because to be quite honest, I'm not sure they come much more difficult than this.
Go ahead, Claudio Villalobos. Go ahead, Claudio.
Gary, a couple of weeks ago, you came out very frustrated about that tie here in Nashville, where you felt that the team should have actually scored the 3 points. Now, we all know how difficult it is to just go to Atlanta and even get a point, let alone beat Atlanta like you guys did today. Now, when you compare both experiences in terms of yourself as a coach, tactically, is there a big break in between what the team did that one particular time and today?
If I remember rightly, the home game I think there was far more expectation on us given some of the omissions that Atlanta had as well. They were going through a particularly difficult time with injuries and obviously players unavailable to them for one reason or another. And it looked like a prime opportunity to take advantage of an excellent squad. We all fall foul of difficult circumstances, but it was a prime opportunity for us to grab 3 points. And I think the way the goals were conceded, I know that the second goal from a dead ball, from a corner, that young Conway scored, was a bit of a dagger. I've got to be honest, I'm not sure I've been more frustrated this season. And it wasn't because of the way we played. We'd scored 2 goals and there was some very decent football. It was the fact that in the end, a set piece had been our undoing. And that, in many ways, left a very sour taste in all of our mouths. So to be able to come here and to win, as you've said, is immensely satisfying. It really is. And there are rivals. They've got the better of us on occasions. I do think that we're slowly but surely developing and creating an environment and a group here that should be sustainable. But none of us are sure what the future brings in terms of injuries and form and anything else that can happen within a soccer environment. So to win these games, and we do have an awful lot of respect through the rivalry of what these guys are capable of. They have some immensely talented players, and this I'm sure will only but put some fire in their bellies next time we meet.
We'll wrap it up with Drake Hilson, Tennessee, and Drake.
Coach, Hani was the most accurate with the ball today, percentage-wise, and had a couple of chances, or at least a couple of shots. And he's been in form. Hani's been in form, of course, but it does seem as if every time Hani does play against Atlanta, there seems to be something he's always able to exploit. So I'm curious from your vantage point, what is it about Atlanta that Hani is able to take advantage of to at least create, or whether for him or for others?
I've got to say, as Hani has evolved as a player here in Nashville and in MLS, we're starting to see an individual that is expressing himself more. He's more understanding of the league, the players he's playing against, what he can, maybe what he can't. There's certainly more confidence in the player. But the one thing I would say more than anything else, Hani is inspired, like a lot of big players, by these sort of environments. And when you've got 40, 50,000 people in a stadium and, they're very raucous, it's a big stage, it's a good rivalry that we're bringing together here. And, someone like Hani thrives off of that. And his performance today was of a top DP in this league. He not only showed us the talents he has, the individual skills and qualities. I thought he managed the game very well. It wasn't all about, I've got to beat someone, I've got to create a chance. He slowed the game down. He took control of periods of the game that were vital to us. Losing the ball, losing possession against these players, presents them with new opportunities, inspires them. They're in need of the ball to show what they're about. And I thought he, like a couple of our senior players, grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck, in the second half especially. And when times looked like they might just get away from us, we had some moments where we took the sting out of the game. And it isn't just about the defensive abilities of the group. It's not just about the clean sheet and the determination. We have to find a way to control the ball better. And guys like Hani and Annabelle and Walker's, strength of character, CJ, down the spine of our team is so important.
Easy one, Daniel. What did you see on the assist from Dan and the first touch finish?
Yeah, I know Dan pretty well. He's a great passer. Now, I knew he was going to play the perfect pass. So I made a perfect run, and first to finish, I didn't have to look the goal. I just had it in my mind, and it was a beautiful goal.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
Hey, Daniel, congrats on the goal and the win. Gary used the phrase monkey off the back when describing getting a result on the road. Just how important was it to get the first away win for this club, mindful of how many away games remain in this season as well?
Yes, the coach talked to us all the week about this first game. It was important to start this first game with a win, because we know we're going to have a lot of away games now. We are going on the road. It was really, really important to achieve the 3 points, and at the end, the result was what we were expecting.
We'll go ahead and go with Claudio Villalobos. Claudio?
Daniel, congratulations for the goal. There is a question here that probably the Hispanic community is always asking us, and perhaps you yourself. How come Daniel, even though when he comes in, he comes through, doesn't play more minutes? Is there an answer for that? I mean, besides all the tactical issues that the coach may have, what do you see Daniel's contribution to the team being starting today?
Well, my personal situation, it was I was injured for a long time, and I needed time to start training again, get my fitness. Most of my teammates have 14 games on when I was trying to get back on training. So it will take time. So now I'm happy that it is my third game playing. I'm having more minutes now. Before this game, I didn't have not even 90 minutes on the year. So I'm so happy that I'm finally able to play. I'm finally able to score my first goal of the year. I've been working so hard to get back, supporting my teammates on of the line, outside the line. So now that I'm able to help my team and to give joy to the fans is fabulous.
Go ahead, Drake.
Yeah, Daniel, congratulations on the first goal of the season for you.
Thank you.
I wanted to know, from your vantage point, given that this was your first start and you were able to score within the first 45 minutes on the field, what does that mean to you in your confidence? But also, what is it like playing and scoring in this team compared to last year's team?
Well, the situation is totally different. Last year was our first year. None of the other teams know how we play our style. This year is completely different. They know the players we have. They know how well we defend, and obviously that I'm starting now, and I see my teammates and the attackers, CJ, Hani, Randall, scoring tons of goals. It's like supporting them all the time. For me, it means everything. Like I said, it was really, really hard. I was injured for a long time. I wanted to be back so bad. I worked so hard for this special moment. So it's everything for me to score my first goal in my first start of the season.
We'll go with Ben Wright. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, Daniel, you were out of the match when Randall scored his goal, but I'm just wondering what your perspective was when you saw him score. What was the reaction like on the bench?
It was great. Oh man, one of the most craziest goal I ever seen. Joe Willis playing that ball perfectly, and then Randall that ball was going so slow. I didn't know it from the bench if he was going in, and then he scored a goal. It was amazing. One of the best goals I've seen.
Tim, did you have one more? Or are you good?
I got one more.
Awesome.
Daniel, as you do work your way back into the lineup, back into 90-minute fitness, how important was it for you to score on your return to the starting lineup, or was it important? Is it just kind of a the team effort that's the most important, I guess?
Yes, it's really important because I haven't played before, and I needed to get confidence to myself and also to share it with my teammates. They need to be confident with me. They need to remember what I can do and how I can help the team, because I'm always willing to help the team.